находимся в штабе. 7 часов 30 минут.
What was going on in Russia? Was it a coup attempt, an insurrection, an armed rebellion, or the beginning of a civil war?
Well, it looks to me like what Prigozhin did on June 24 was a military mutiny. He was fairly careful in that he did not portray his move as against Vladimir Putin per se. Basically, Prigozhin caving in, it did show that Vladimir Putin's government structure in Russia has severe weaknesses. You know, the fact that an armed private military group could take over a good part of Rostov and then move apparently with little real opposition to within 200 kilometers of Moscow does not suggest that all is well in Putin's regime.
Wagner's rebellion could be a lesson for countries where private war companies are involved?
I think, and unfortunately, this is an idea which the United States embraced, 15, 20 years, this idea of having private military groups, and they were used, for example, in Iraq. I believe that was a mistake. That group doesn't operate in the United States, fortunately. But yeah, I think countries ought to really question the value of having large armed formations that are in essence private armies.
How was Putin affected by these events? Is his future in danger?
I wouldn't go too far, but I do believe that Putin's position today is weaker than it was a week ago. And Putin himself, I mean, go back and look at June 24 and June 25, he was invisible. You only saw him one time briefly on the morning of the 24th when he made this televised statement. And otherwise, he's not shown. And there were even reports that he'd actually left Moscow. So I don't see how Putin escapes this episode without looking weaker. And if I were in Vladimir Putin's place, what would have concerned me is that a lot of Russian elites seemed to stay quiet on Saturday. Mm-hmm. They weren't speaking out in support for Putin. And second, if you look at the foreign countries, most foreign countries, I mean, even China, President Xi is sort of Putin's best friend, he says. Yes. As far as I can tell, China didn't speak out in favor of stability until after the settlement was announced on Saturday night. It seems like most countries were not going to speak during the mutiny. And that may well have been because they were waiting to see what was going to happen. That I would not see as a vote of confidence in Mr. Putin.